Welcome back, Know It Alls. Thanks for listening to the show. And as always, give us some feedback about what we are doing so we can make sure you're having a good time listening to us.
All right, guys, welcome back. This week we have Charlie Ray,
Hey, everybody, Charlie Ray. That's
non-COVID Charlie Ray, right?
right. I am all 100% healthy and ready to rock.
Excellent.
So, what we're going to talk about this week, Clay, I think we're going to talk about restaurants that we've had in the past that are basically gone or nearly gone, and they used to be big.
Yeah, because I remember a time that I was traveling with a friend from Vancouver down to Seattle, and I think there was three of us there. And she's like, "Hey, let's get some Mexican food." And I was like, "Sure, Mexican food sounds great. Where do you want to go?" So we're in Seattle, and there's so many fucking places you can eat. And she's like, "That one looks pretty Mexican," and it was called Azteca. And I was
Okay.
like, "All right, down, let's go." Like a big, huge sign. It was a towering. It was sort of in like not even a commercial area. There's like a lot of houses, and then it was just the beginning of where like the commercial stuff starts.
Yeah.
So it was sort of stuck out. So I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." Went in and they do like homemade chips and salsa for you, so you can actually watch them put the stuff through the machine. It flattens them, it cuts them, it throws them right into a deep fryer, and you get your chips like essentially salted right out of a deep fryer. It's amazing.
Sounds delicious.
I've been to Seattle so many times before that. I never even heard of it. Like, heard nothing about this place called Azteca. And then I noticed another one in a town on the way to Seattle. So we were stopping, I don't know, buying maybe toys or CDs or something. And I was like, "Oh, Azteca, let's go there for lunch." So my friends and I went there for lunch, and I was like, "Oh man, you'll love it. They do like this fresh cut guacamole. They do chips right through a machine. You see it right happen in front of you." And we just gorged ourselves on like unlimited taco chips and salsa. And then we got like wicked ass fajitas and burritos and stuff. And I just sort of forgot about it. Just hadn't been back to Azteca. I was trying different restaurants, and whenever I went down to Seattle. But then I remember going to a GI Joe convention in Rhode Island, and we were driving from New York City, like New Jersey, New York City, Connecticut, all the way out to Rhode Island. And I saw an Azteca off the freeway, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I can eat that shit." And the person I was, yeah, the person I was with is like, "I've never even heard of this place." I'm like, "No, no, it's good, it's good." And yeah, we just sat there and like gorged ourselves on all you can eat chips and salsa fresh from the deep fryer, and whatever kind of burritos or fajitas we got. It was fucking delicious. And then I honestly haven't, that was like 2010. I haven't been to one since.
You
So
know, I think I've actually ate at one. I think we had one. It's no longer here, but I think we had one down closer to where my radio show is done at. And I'm pretty certain it was an Azteca because I'm looking at the logo here online, and
yeah,
it looks familiar, but it's been gone for at least 5 to 8 years. They tore the building down. There's like a storage place there now. So
yeah. When I was looking today, I was like, well, I've been to one in New Jersey, so I know they were way East Coast. And then when I looked online today, there's only like, I think 16 left, and it's only in Oregon and Washington. There's no more.
wow.
So all the ones Midwest, all the ones East, all shut down. So it kind of makes you want to go do a road trip, just in case these don't exist like 5, 10 years from now.
Right.
But I mean, I can't cross the border. So you know what? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, as far as Mexican food went, it was pretty decent for, a non actual Mexican based restaurant. Just,
right.
Mexican cooked food, but obviously chain food, right?
Right. Right.
Better than an Applebee's, better than a Chili's,
No, yeah.
but not better
Yeah.
than a mom pa, Mexican food place.
Which, here in Kansas City, we're kind of spoiled. We have, I think, I don't know if we were ranked one of the most taco restaurants in the United States in Kansas City or something like that. We have a very large, Mexican and Central American, South American demographic here. We have a pretty good section of town. and there's just tons and tons of restaurants, not only there, but, spread out around the town. So we get a little bit spoiled between Mexican food and barbecue here, but about the Kansas City barbecue.
Well, I know firsthand, yeah, and then I know secondhand about the swinger parties, and now you're telling me there's Mexican food.
That's a different all-you-can-eat buffet.
I definitely need to go back and test the waters on all three of those.
Yeah. Well, I'm retired from that last one, unfortunately. So, well, let's skip from Mexican food to a whole different creature altogether. Let's go out into the ocean. Let's talk about fish restaurants, fish and in this case, fish and chips, and specifically Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. Now, are you familiar with that chain at all?
I don't eat anything that lives in water. So
okay.
Every time I drive by a Long John Silver's or a Skipper's, I'm like, ew, gross. And whenever I'm driving through Morro Bay, California, I'm just like, don't stop. It just smells like fish. The whole town smells like fish. Keep going.
Well, I guess mermaids off your platter too, huh?
Yeah, it is. But obviously, I picked my Mexican food, so you get to pick your seafood. So tell me about it, man.
My favorite joke about that is, you wonder if you ever cooked a mermaid, would you get surf and turf on the same platter?
Yeah, of course you would.
All right, well, let's move back. Let's move on. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips was bigger in the 70s. It's almost non-existent at this point. It is literally so almost non-existent that there's only one location left in Cahuenga or something like that, Falls, Ohio. Fuck. And I actually visited that location here about 14 years ago when I was in Ohio, because I was looking to find an Arthur Treacher's, and I knew that they were originally started out of Ohio. At one point, they had more than 800 stores in the world, and over 600 just in the United States, and there's only one location left.
God damn it!
That's a huge shift, right? They were one of they offered, it's very much like a Long John Silver's, a Captain D's. The main thing about Arthur Treacher's is that their style was, as they called it, northern British style fish and chips. So it was very much a little bit different than the way you'd look at some of the, since you don't eat seafood, you can't really say Long John Silver's how it compares. Yeah. But so Arthur Treacher's was a northern British style fish and chips, and I'm sure if you're not aware, for the British, chips means French fries versus what we think of as chips here in the United States, right? So absolutely. So it was very much kind of it was a pretty no frills kind of place. You didn't have it. This was the 70s, so they hadn't gotten into all this kind of things now where you have platters and all these different things. It was basically fish, fries. Maybe they had hush puppies. It's pretty much it. Maybe they had chicken, and they had malt vinegar, really strong malt vinegar, because it was classic British style fish and chips, right? And so ate there quite a bit. There was a location here near where I lived, and then pretty much starting around the early 80s, they pretty much just started really having apparently some financial issues. They got sued over something or other. I don't want to look it all up, but cod prices doubled between 1978 and 1980. So their food costs went up quite a bit. They started struggling, and then they got sold out to various investment companies. And then basically they just imploded. They went into bankruptcy in 1983. They kind of struggled around the upper Midwest, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, that kind of area. Most of the United States locations all closed. The franchisees all bailed out. And then basically by the early 2000s, they were down to just that one location that was in Ohio. And I think it's still around. It's still around there. I guess the only new news is that supposedly, Nathan's Famous hot dogs. Well, it's a brand, Nathan's Famous. Supposedly this year they've announced that they're going to open some branded name ghost kitchens. Are you familiar with the ghost kitchen concept? No, I'm
not. What is it?
Well, ghost kitchens is a new concept that started here since the whole COVID thing started. And basically it's delivery only places. So you know, like, so they'll have
okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll have like 4 or 5 different branded things, and they all go out of the same kitchen, but and then just DoorDash deliveries and shit and crap like that, you know. And so ghost kitchens, and there's no really like location. So supposedly they're going to start that as a ghost kitchen concept, but so far there aren't any open yet. So who knows? Maybe Arthur Treachers will make a little bit of a comeback. You know, I mean, heck, even Toys R Us is supposed to be opening in Macy's stores. Like there's very
Yeah, I
many.
saw that. I mean, we still have Toys R Us here in Canada, so that's not a problem for me. But
You're lucky. You know, it's weird to now be in the United States where there's no actual just toy stores. And
everything's bought online, man. That's the whole
exactly.
Right? Just like a ghost kitchen. There's no need to go sit down, just wait at your house and it'll get dropped off.
Well, yeah, I mean, even Taco Bell's now talking about just going to like delivery and pickup only restaurants. No eat in at all.
Well, I mean, the real estate alone, the cost on it is astronomical to save, right?
Well, I think
Like,
it's also the labor to clean up and having to have people in there. And
yeah, no, I mean, during pandemic, like even our Arby's in town here, even after we were allowed to go to restaurants, like you could go to A&W, you could go to McDonald's, you could go to Wendy's, you could go to Dairy Queen, you can go sit down. Arby's still had their lobby closed and everybody was pissed off. But all I thought was like, they're probably making hand over fist money, right? They're not paying extra people. They're not having elderly people sit there and drink coffee to 4 to 5 hours a day. They're not paying people. You drive-throughs open and that's like 3 less people you need. Nobody to get the tills, nobody to clean up, nobody to clean the parking lot. It's just, it
you're
saves
talking
money.
like 3 people total, not including benefits, like what, around $50 an hour? I mean, 3 people total. I mean, $60 an hour. I mean, I don't know.
Between the 3 of them, it'd be $45 an hour Canadian
45.
between the 3 of them.
Yeah. And that's before benefits and the other stuff you pay that you don't see. That's just their pay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a lot of money.
And you're open from 10 a.m. till 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. So let's just say $50 times what?
It's $600 a day.
Yeah.
That they're saving.
And 600 times, 30 days, if you're open 30 days of the month. I mean, that's not chump change.
No, it's not.
No.
And so, yeah, pandemic has taught them that, hey, we can manage this and pay less people. Essentially, it would be even easier if there was like mobile ordering only. So they don't even have somebody at the front window that's taking your order. Everything's done with mobile. You pull up, you give your number through the window, you pick it up at the other window. That's it.
Yeah.
You're eliminating one more person a day, like one other, 12 hours a day, $15 an hour.
I know.
364 days out of the year if you're closed on Christmas. And yeah, the owners are just like, cha-ching, we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ghost kitchens. Yeah. Now that you mention it, yeah, I have heard what it was. And yeah, it's an easy way to make a lot of money and still get your product out there.
I tell you what, if you owned a ghost kitchen and you actually were repping out like 3 or 4 different restaurant chain names,
yeah,
you'd be raking in some cash.
You would.
Raking it in.
But as soon as you get DoorDash or Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats to deliver it, you're losing everything.
Yeah.
So you need your own delivery service. That's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah.
Profit-wise, it's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I guess that's about it for Arthur Treachers. I mean, maybe they're going to make a comeback, maybe they're not. I mean, Captain D's was a big rival for Long John Silver's forever, and they've just disappeared. I haven't looked into Captain D's. I never was a Captain D's fan. I liked Arthur Treachers, and then I went to Long John Silver's and I tried Captain D's a few times, and I was just like, again, fast food fish is not exactly what you don't like it at all. And I prefer just to cook my own fish or go to a nicer place if I'm going to have like fish or shrimp or lobster or something,
So you drove to Ohio, right? To go to this place?
For it was I was up there for like 2 weeks for 2 different music festivals, 2 weekends back to back. So I had like a 3-day, 4-day window in between just to kill, just exploring Ohio. And
how long is that drive?
From Kansas City to Cleveland is 14 hours.
Okay, so it's not something you would go. It wouldn't be worth it for you just to drive there for fish and chips.
No. But if I ever do go back up that way, I have. I think we've talked about this before. My great grandfather is from Zanesville, Ohio, which is like middle southern Ohio.
Yeah.
And so I do want to go back that way sometime on a genealogy type trip for a couple weeks. and I've got to trace out the whole family descendants and all that, because there's just a ton of like locations and cemeteries and everything that I want to visit. There's a huge plot in a town that's near Zanesville. It's got a whole bunch of relatives to me that are buried there, and it's something I should, maybe I think would be a good trip. So if I go up that way again, I'll probably go to that Arthur Treacher's. Just why not?
So it wasn't as good as you remember. Not worth it. Not worth the trip out, but it's definitely something that you remember eating and thought, fuck man, that was really good.
Yeah, it was something I remembered a lot from, again, childhood. That was like, God, probably 40 years ago when I was like 10, because again, they went out of business in 83, and the Kansas City location closed before that. So it was just pretty greasy. It was pretty mediocre. It wasn't all that, but at one point they were a massive chain, and in the 70s, they were all over the United States. So that's my first restaurant chain that no longer around.
There's a restaurant I remember being at a GI Joe convention in Atlanta, Georgia, and I just wanted something different. So I'm just wandering around and I see this little thing. It sort of looks like an Irish pub from the outside, and I walk to it, and it's called Steak and Ale.
Yeah.
So I was like, huh, sure, I'll try this. And from what I recall, I walked in, there was like a salad bar kind of thing, and then you can order like your steak dinner. So yeah, I had steak, beer, some salad, and I was like, this is actually pretty decent. So I went there, I think 3 times on my trip to Atlanta, Georgia, because it was really good. I kept going back.
Right.
But I'd never seen one before, and I'd never seen one since. So when we were talking, I like Googled it. I was like, man, Steak and Ale? Yeah, that was a pretty damn good place from what I recall. It wasn't like 2007. So my memory of 2007 eating at one place, probably, not as fresh as it once was. And then I just Googled it, and they shut down in 2008.
2008. Yep.
So I was like, fuck, I went to one like right near the tail end of it. That's kind of cool. But you said that you had also been to Steak and Ale.
Yes, we had them here in Kansas City. I went there like maybe once or twice. They had that kind of you can find them, like if you drive around, you'll see locations here and there that are just abandoned. They had kind of like a British style like building to them.
Yeah, the architecture. That's why it made me think of
very, very distinct building. They have a very kind of like, I don't know, like Shakespearean time type, like kind of design element to them.
But yeah, walking in, it reminded me of a Sizzler, but high class. So you have your salad bar, you can order I think there was a server. So I know in Sizzler, you walk in, you go to the front counter, you order, you get your salad bar, they bring you your food, and you can keep going back for salad bar. But Steak and Ale, they served you, and yet you can go get a salad bar. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I only went to Steak and Ale a couple of times. I don't really have very many memories of them, but I do have big memories of seeing them, of seeing that building, because again, it was so distinctive that if you saw one, you knew immediately what that building was. It was a Steak and Ale. And
they were in Kansas City?
Yes, we had them in Kansas City. Okay.
Yeah. All this stuff is stuff for me traveling in the States, right? I can't think of anything in Canada that, I don't know, Mr. Mike's, that was big in the 80s, and then they pretty much all shut down, and then there was a resurgence, and now there's, they're few and far between, but you can find them, but they're higher class steak places now, whereas before they were like a burger joint that sold steaks, and now they're a steak place that sell burgers. So yeah, they went the other way, and they went the other route.
Well, here's just so you know, there's supposed to be a Steak and Ale opening in Cancun, Mexico. So if you're ever down in Cancun, Mexico, you might be able to go to a Steak and Ale. And supposedly they're seeking new franchisees in the United States to start reopening. So we'll see if that actually happens. I have my doubts, especially right now with everything.
So you say if I'm ever in Cancun, I can get Steak and Ale?
Yes.
What I'm thinking is, man, Cancun, I would go there for Steak and Ale. You know what I mean? Like Steak and Ale wouldn't be the secondary thing. It would be the first reason why I go to Cancun. It's like, sweet. Beaches after Steak and Ale. Fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see here. What is another chain? Okay, let's go with since you talked about steak, and I think you got another steak chain coming up that you want to talk about. I'm going to talk about Ponderosa and Bonanza Steakhouses. Have you ever ate at any of those?
We used to have something called Bonanzas here, and it was essentially Sizzler.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah, you have a huge buffet.
Yeah, you could literally walk into a Ponderosa, a Bonanza, or a Sizzler, and it was the same thing.
Yeah.
You walk in, you get a tray, you put it down on some metal bars, you'd walk along, you'd order, you'd pay, and they'd bring your steaks out to you. And if you bought the buffet, you had the buffet out there. You could get up and get stuff.
And the ice cream machines on the buffet were like
The
my
ice
favorite
cream.
thing.
Yes, yes. So Ponderosa and Bonanzas, like you said, are very, very similar to Sizzler. They were started in 1965, at least Bonanza was, by the guy, what's his name, from the show Bonanza, the guy who played Haas, Dan Blocker. 1963, actually, he started, but he only had like one location. And I think he grew to a couple locations before he sold out to some other people and in 1965, and they started growing it bigger. Now, the reason why I say Ponderosa and Bonanza, because again, like you said, all these are very similar type of concepts. They eventually ended up merging in the 80s, so they became part of the same chain. But I used to go to Ponderosa's a lot when I was a kid with my family. I mean, it was nearly like a once a month kind of thing that we'd go there. It wasn't terribly expensive. The buffet concept was not found everywhere. It was one of the first kind of buffets. You know, you get a nice steak and you could also get all the stuff you wanted off the buffet as well. You could get a nice salad, you know, and yeah, they went out of business, I think, around 2008 as well. And yeah, they filed for Chapter 11 in 2008. They closed, tried to reorganize, pretty much just imploded and never came back. The last location that I had that I knew of in Kansas City closed around 2008, 2009. And I hadn't been there for years at that point. I'd kind of moved on, a little bit higher class food, I think, than Ponderosa. They weren't bad. They just, you know, they were getting, you know, beat by places that were more steak places like, you know, Lone Star and Roadhouse and Outback Steakhouse and places like that. You know, it was just they were just kind of like, you know, probably viewed as like, you know, your parents' restaurant. You know what I mean? They weren't hip, and people wanted buffets that were a little bit more robust, you know, kind of like the way like a buffet at a casino. So their buffets weren't that great. But you know what? I mean, I got a lot of fond memories, and I got a good funny story from a Ponderosa, since we need to have a little something funny to talk about in this. One of the most mortifying things that ever happened in my life. So you want to hear it?
Yeah, man, go for it.
All right. Well, this is back when my dad was still alive. This was in the mid 80s. We went to Ponderosa, and we actually got my dad to go with us. Now, usually it was just like me and my mom, my aunt, my grandma. My dad didn't go out with us very often. And he went out with us, and they had all you could eat corn on the cob.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So they had, you remember the corn on the cob where they put them on a stick, like a corn dog? You ever remember that? Yeah. Well, I had a couple when I first got my meal, and I kept trying, you know, I was probably 14 or so. And I kept trying to get the waitress's attention because the corn wasn't out there. They had to bring it out to you, right? It wasn't something that was on the buffet. They had to bring it out to you when you needed it. And I couldn't get her attention. And my dad said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, I'm trying to get some more corn on the cob or whatever, you know, or whatever." So he grabbed the corn on the cob out of my hand, started waving it around above his head in a circle, doing one of those like really loud whistles, like, you know, like people will do like at a sporting event, like those really loud whistles. And my dad was a loud whistler. I wanted to just slink into my chair. I mean, the whole restaurant was looking at us.
But the question is, did you get more corn on the cob?
Well, hell yeah, I got some more corn on the cob.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. Well, he got it done, but man, that was the last time I wanted to ask him for something in public. Let's just put it that way, you know?
So I'm just checking out. There's a Bonanza in Saskatoon that shut 2017. So that's the last one.
Bonanza's rode off into the sunset. No, like I said, I have a lot of fond memories and Sizzler, you know, like, but I'll let you talk about Sizzler.
Sizzler. So my aunt lives in California, and I would pretty much stay there for summers when my mom was working there when I was, I don't know, between the ages of 9 and 12. And Sizzler was a pretty quick walk, you know, 3-4 minute, I'd say 15 at tops. I mean, I'm a little kid, so, and it was a long time ago. So we would go to Sizzler a lot, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world, man. Like unlimited salads and like green beans, and it was just amazing. And it was primary. The secondary thing was my steak or my burger. I didn't care about that. I cared more about the salad bar, ice cream, desserts, fruit, amazing. And growing up, I fucking loved it. And then I remember being in like 2000, probably 1999. I was going with friends when I lived in Kelowna. We did a road trip down to the States. We went to Spokane for the day. It's probably about 500 kilometers. So, like 350 miles, 360 miles. So we go there for the day, and I drove by and I saw Sizzler, and I was like, shit, yeah, Spokane Sizzler, this is going to be amazing. So we go there for dinner, and I was embarrassed because I begged my friends to go with me. Like, this place is amazing. We got to go. And the spaghetti was dried out. The sauce was gross. The lettuce was brown. And they all looked at me like, dude, what the fuck, man? You picked the worst goddamn restaurant in the whole city of Spokane. And all I could think was like, no, this is the greatest place ever. I remember as a kid, it was phenomenal. And I'll never forget going to grab that spaghetti and putting like the scoop thing down there, and it just dry and crunchy and was breaking off into the thing. And I was like, this isn't spaghetti. How long has this been sitting here? And like, we were like the only ones in there at dinner time on a Saturday. It was terrible. And
Wow.
I had to go back to the California one. So in like 2003 or so, my friends and I did a road trip down to Cali, went to my aunt's house, parked the car, went for a walk. And I was like, we're going to Sizzler. And she's like, don't go to Sizzler. I was like, but we always went to Sizzler. She goes, no, we did back in the 80s. Sizzler was awesome. Don't go to Sizzler. Go somewhere better. My friends are like, no, man, we're going to Sizzler. We've heard stories about this place. And we went, and it blew the Washington one out of the water, but it didn't even compare to how it was in the 80s. It was much better than the dried out spaghetti, gross brown leaf lettuce shit, but it still wasn't what it once was.
Yeah, and that's just the sad thing, man. You have these fond memories as a kid, and then having that experience later, and it's just not the same,
I mean, but was it good as a kid, or were you just a kid and you're happy for the fucking ice cream machine? Like unlimited sundaes and sprinkles? God damn it.
I was just happy not to be eating a Swanson TV dinner, okay? I mean, they take me out of the house, and it wasn't a can of Campbell's soup or, or my grandma was a hell of a cook. And on the weekends, I ate awesome home-cooked, home from scratch, mashed potatoes, fried chicken, rabbit, I had good food. But during the rest of the week, it was TV dinners and canned soup because my mom didn't cook anything. Really.
Yeah, my mom cooked, and she did her best. She did. And some stuff I really liked, and some stuff I really didn't like. But I was also a super picky eater. So it's really hard. It's really hard for me to like a meal if my mom's making it and then she lies to me about having cheese in it. And then I take a bite and it's cheese, and then I start freaking out so that I don't trust her anymore. And then she's like, just put ketchup on it. Like, that was her answer to everything. It's just put ketchup on it. Just put ketchup on it. So I've got this fear of ketchup now. It's like few and far between am I using ketchup.
So if I just want to scare you on a table, I'll put cheese on one, ketchup on the other, and some fish.
Oh my God. Just put ketchup on the fish. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just put some cheese on the fish. Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking of a fishy cheese meal with ketchup on it.
Yeah, no,
that sounds so gross.
The Sizzler, you're right. The Sizzler was such a bonus. It was just as a kid, it was awesome.
But see, I had the same experience over near where I grew up with as a kid, which where my house was at, not my grandma's house area. We did have a Sizzler, and we did go to Sizzler once in a while. And again, same kind of good experience, just like Ponderosa. But again, I was 8, 9, 10 years old, and I was escaping Swanson TV dinner, so anything was like friggin' amazing. I mean, I thought Taco Villa was the best Mexican restaurant in the world.
And until you heard about Azteca, and now you know what the best restaurant in the world is that serves Mexican.
Well, I don't know. I've been to some good Mexican places in Kansas City.
Well, you just got to head over to Washington to the, one of the 16 locations.
Well, hey, I was seeing here that there's still 107 Sizzlers in the United States. Even though they've declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy last year for the organization.
Where's the closest one to Great Falls, Montana? Because that's the closest place I can drive to from Canada down to the States.
Okay, let's see here. I am checking Sizzler.com.
Because they got rid of the 2 KFC buffets down in Great Falls. So now
they got rid of the KFC's buffets here too. There's none.
Yeah, now I don't get to do that.
Yeah, that is a bummer because my mom really liked that. Let's see here. We got Utah. We got Lakewood, Washington.
So Salt Lake is the closest In-N-Out burger to me. So
Wow.
I may as well. I mean, let's get some
Okay,
Cheesecake
nothing
Factory.
in Montana. There's some in Idaho and the Seattle area. There's
Okay.
there's two in Idaho. It's one in Idaho Falls, one in Pocatello, and
Okay, Idaho Falls is not too bad of a drive from here.
And
I mean,
then
it's obviously 2 days, but
yeah, Twin Falls and then Boise. But the closest one would probably be Idaho Falls for you.
yeah. All right.
And then if you went down to Utah, there's 5 in Salt Lake City. So,
Done. Well, that's
yeah.
good, man. Salt Lake has Cheesecake Factory. It's got Brazilian Steakhouse. It's got like one of the largest IMAX screens in all of the US.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah. Went to a theater there to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's 2 floors. Like there's a balcony seating like you're at the theater, like an opera.
Wow.
Massive, and it's awesome. Yeah.
So going back to Sizzler, the entire chain is no further east than Utah and Arizona. It's basically California's got the most locations. There's 4 in Oregon, 2 in Washington, 4 in Idaho, 9 in Utah, and 2 in Arizona, and the rest. And then there's I think there's 1 in Reno. That's it. And then there's nothing else. And then here's the funny part: there is 13 in Puerto Rico.
Weird.
Yeah, there's 13 in Puerto Rico. So you got one.
So strange.
Yeah, I mean, you can pretty much drive around the entire island and you can hit Sizzlers all the way around.
Well, excellent. Well, there you go. You get Tropics and Sizzler.
It doesn't make sense, but I guess if you ever meet or talk to somebody from Puerto Rico, you could talk to them about Sizzler because they'd be like, "Oh, hell yeah, Sizzler's all over the place." All right, okay, so let's move on from Sizzler. Let's go to something else. Let's go to a different type of food from steak. Shakey's Pizza. Have you ever ate a Shakey's Pizza?
Never even heard of it.
All right. Well, Shakey's Pizza, we had one that was real close to the house that I grew up in when I was a kid up till I was 13. It was like probably about a mile and a half from my house. And the thing that was cool about Shakey's, well, I guess, I don't know, was cool or not. I guess most places do have it, but they did serve alcohol there. They had like a full bar. And I remember that a lot because my dad liked to imbibe. So he definitely had plenty of beers if we went to Shakey's Pizza. And so it had like a full bar set up. And then, of course, then it was a pizza restaurant, which is what I was there for, was the pizza. But the cool thing is they had a big screen set up on the wall and they played like old classic cartoons. And I mean like old, like black and white stuff, like some of the violent cartoon stuff. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Some of those like classic, just beating the crap out of each other kind of cartoons, like the original Steamboat Willie kind of stuff,
Yeah.
like Mickey Mouse when he was like violent. And so I'd watch those while we were waiting for our pizza. And of course, my dad was drinking beer. And the thing I remembered about the place that was so cool is it was all the beer memorabilia on the wall. Because you went to a bar and they have like all the signage from the beer companies and all that stuff and various things. And I remember because one of my favorite ones was Ham's Beer, which is an old school beer, kind of like Schlitz and stuff like that. It's like, it was in the 70s. Okay, so that's like 40 years ago. So Ham's, they had this bear that was like their mascot or whatever. And all I remember is this one sign. It had the bear kind of with his back turned to you, and he was peeing into a river going like going down the sign or whatever. And it was and like they had some other like beer company like what was like making beer out of whatever they were pissing out or something. It was a funny sign. But they had all these old like classic kind of somewhat irreverent type of signage, and it was just a really kind of like a, how do you say, I don't want to call it a dive bar because it wasn't a dive bar, but it was like this, just kind of like this old school flavor pizza place, kind of a dive kind of pizza-y place. And of course, again, like you said, here we are 40 some years later, and it's like, was it really that good? It was good to me when I was a kid. I loved it, but they closed down like, again, late 70s, early 80s, and there wasn't very many in Kansas City. And here a few years ago when I was out in California, I did see Shakey's Pizza, and it's come to find out the chain was actually started in Sacramento, California. So again, much like Sizzler, most of the Shakey's that are left now are in California. And it started in 1954, so they're pretty damn old, but good pizza place. I definitely would go there. You know, I definitely like a nice beer with my pizza, and you know, they again, it's been even 15 years since the time when I've been out to California when I ate there. So at one point in 1974, they had almost 500 stores around the United States, and had dropped down to about 221 by the late 90s. And at this point, I think there's only 51 left or so.
Oh, that's so little. Like, you were
Yeah.
king of the world for the longest time, and then
Yeah.
it just sucks.
Again, but you know, you think about pizza chains, and there's a ton of pizza chains. I mean, I don't know if you remember how big Godfather's Pizza was in the 80s, and there's like none of them left. There's a chain I could have talked about, Godfather's Pizza. Shakey's is even more obscure, but Shakey's was big in the 70s. They were big. I mean, Pizza Hut was just starting out, you know. I mean, you know, in the late 60s, early 70s, these guys have been around since the 50s, you know, and going from 500 down to, I guess, like 48 of the 51 locations are, guess where? California.
Oh, I was going to say
So
Puerto
you're not going
Rico.
to find them anywhere else. There's also some in Mexico City. So I guess if I ever move to Mexico, I can go to a Shakey's if I'm in Mexico City.
And then just need to head over to the coast, and you can get yourself a steak and ale.
Man, and we could do a little food trip down to Mexico. We can go to Shakey's. We can go to Steak and Ale. You're like, what are you in Mexico for? We're here to eat obscure American food places.
Yeah, I'm here for Azteca Mexican food. Do you have one of those?
They probably do.
Oh, I would doubt that.
Probably a real descendant Aztec making, but yeah. So yeah, only hey, there's two also in the state of Washington, so maybe you could actually have a Shakey's pizza sometime.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Where are they?
Let's see here. I'm betting Seattle, but Shakey's Pizza. Let's see here. Well, one's in Seattle and one is in Eastern. So it's actually closer, you know, to like Idaho.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what city it's in here.
Well, I'm supposed to head to Seattle for a concert at the end of this month, depending on how the border works and COVID testing.
It's in Kennewick. Yeah. So it's like real far, like toward it's pretty close to the, you know, Idaho border. Not close, I mean, you know, distance wise up there, but yeah, that's the two Shakey's. One's in Seattle, one's in Kennewick.
And you'd recommend it?
They even got a lunch buffet.
Well, fuck that KFC non-buffet. I'm just gonna go to Shakey's, get myself some pizza buffet.
Yeah. So yeah, I did like Shakey's. You know, there's a decent pizza place. It's really weird when we talk about these things. It's like all the different things have come and gone, you know, like restaurant chains, like they were huge and then they just disappeared. Nobody's even heard of them, you know?
Yeah. Like you mentioned Godfather's Pizza, and I remember being a kid and seeing commercials all the time for Godfather's Pizza.
Yep.
And I haven't thought about it since I was a kid. And you mentioned that, I'm like, because we never had them in Canada.
Oh, okay.
It was just off American TV shows that I'd be watching, like American network shows.
Oh yeah, for me in the 80s, if they asked you what pizza do you want, Pizza Hut or Godfather's, always Godfather's. Godfather's was so much better than Pizza Hut, which of course both of them are so much better than Domino's Pizza.
And Godfather's, it still exists?
It still exists barely. Again, it's kind of probably one of these that there's only a few locations around.
Yeah.
You know, it just, you know, obviously they must have had some bad management choices, or who knows, it could have been like a situation like with what happened with Toys R Us, you know, that I think the like, was it, I don't know if it was Bain Capital, but it was some hedge fund company basically bought the company, loaded them up with debt, dumped them, sold them, and basically, you know, Toys R Us had good cash flow. They just got dumped with all this debt that they couldn't handle. That's what killed them. And it was basically done deliberately. That's the sucky part about it. They were basically killed. They didn't just go out of, I mean, yes, there were some bad choices made, and they definitely shouldn't have gotten into bed with this capital company that screwed them. But the capital company is what put them out of business. So, you know.
Well, it is what it is. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like some of these restaurants went out of business because their food sucked. It was just because either the market shifted of what was popular, I mean, like kind of like right now, like there for a while, Subway grew like a champ out of nowhere. I mean, they blew past McDonald's in the number of Subways. It was crazy. True. And now they're dying because subs are just saturated. There's so many sub shops. And then what started becoming popular here about 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago, chicken finger restaurants. We got them all over the place. We got Raising Cane's and just all kinds of them. Everybody's got chicken fingers. And then like everybody's jumping on chicken sandwiches now. You got Popeye's chicken sandwiches, you got Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. Of course, they were the ones who really started making it popular, but everything just goes in cycles, and then basically I think like somebody starts off an innovation, starts making money, and then everybody else is like, oh, I can do that too, right? So then they all jump in. Then you kind of have a war for a while of who's going to survive, and then it shakes out to the number one and maybe the number two. I mean, it's kind of it's kind of the same thing you look at as beverages, like Coke's number one, Pepsi's number two. Everybody else just kind of filters in, filling in the cracks.
Oh really. Yeah. Well, they're filling like 98% of the market share of those two.
Yeah. Yeah, like I bought like a 6-pack of RC Cola here because apparently they're going to discontinue making RC Cola. So I went out and bought some just to see what it tastes like again, because I haven't had it for years.
And?
It's okay. I still wish I could get a hold of that Royal Crown Draft that's only available in Australia and New Zealand.
Well, I mean, for the right amount of money, you can get it shipped to you.
That's true. It probably cost me about $100 for a case.
I mean,
you know what? It might be worth it. It might be worth it just for the hell of it. I mean, it's cheaper than flying to Australia.
Well, think about it. We're talking about enjoying shit as children, like from the 80s and stuff.
Yeah.
And enjoying it. And as we get older, it's not as good, not what you remember.
That's
and now you're thinking like, oh man, that root beer was the shit. I loved it. It was amazing. It might be worth $100. And then you fucking know when you get it shipped to you, it's not going to be worth that $100.
But then here's the other thing you got to wonder though. Did they change the recipe? Did they change the ingredients? Because I mean, all the sodas in the 70s that were amazing were all made with cane sugar.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they started making it with high fructose corn syrup, and it's not as good.
No, it's not as good. It's a third the price, but it's not nearly as good.
Exactly. So and that was the thing that was nice about the Royal Crown Draft, is it was made with cane sugar. And now you can they have specialty sodas that are just cane sugar.
Oh yeah, I grab my Coke, my Mexican made Coke with the sugar, and I grab my A&W root beer glass bottles made with cane sugar. Any day of the week, that tastes better than buying just an A&W root beer like in a plastic bottle. Fuck that.
And speaking of Mexican Coke, when I was down in Mexico, they have this other soda down there that's just called red soda. So basically it's kind of like a generic Coke, but it's made with cane sugar, and it's like half the price, just as delicious.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it's just called red soda. That's all. Just a red bottle and it says soda, and it's awesome.
Well, I got to try that next time I'm down there.
Yeah. I'm sure you find it everywhere. Okay, so
I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Do you know who Mean Gene Okerlund is?
The announcer from the WWF?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Did you know he had a burger chain?
No, I did not.
All right. So back in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, Mean Gene had Mean Gene's Burgers. And the commercial was something like the burger that bites you back, or the burger that makes you want to bite, something like that. Something about biting a burger. And it was awesome to see these commercials. And living in a small town in Canada, it's never going to come to my town. Like I had a Dairy Queen.
Right.
And that's the only thing I had in my town until after I left, and they finally got like a Tim Hortons and a McDonald's and an A&W. But it wasn't until years after I'd left that the town had grown. So Mean Gene's Burgers was totally out of the cards. And I didn't think much of it as I grew older. I mean, I didn't hear about it. I didn't think about it, knew nothing about it. And then I was on a road trip with two of my friends driving down to California. So through British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, and in Redding, California. So Northern California, the town of Redding. I'm driving and I see a billboard for a gas station. And on the billboard, it says the cleanest bathrooms in all of California. Stop in for a Mean Gene's Burgers. And I'm driving and I'm looking at the sign, and then like all these memories are flooding back about commercials and stuff. So I missed the off ramp, and I'm like, what the fuck? Mean Gene's Burgers? That's like 25 years ago. I remember seeing those commercials, and I didn't hear anything about these burgers for the longest time. And I was like, well, we're definitely stopping in Redding on the way back. That's what we're doing. We're stopping in Redding on the way back. So I went down to California, went to Disneyland, did that whole thing. And on the way back, I was like, gotta stop in Reading, gotta find this gas station. I don't remember the fucking name of it. I just remember the one exit was like, it was the first exit heading south down the I-5. It was the first exit into Reading. So I was like, fuck yeah. So now I know that I have to take the last exit on the way back to make sure I get the same area. And I pull over and I'm looking for it, and I see the gas station. And it's just, you know how like they have Subways and gas stations, that little teeny tiny, it was like that, this small little kiosk that sold burgers, chicken burgers, fries, and like, you know, Coke or Pepsi or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, my two friends and I sat
down. Was it called Mean Gene's?
It was called Mean Gene's Burgers. And like his face is on it, like, you know, the bald head, the mustache, the tuxedo. It was, I mean, obviously it was probably owned by Vince McMahon because he owns all of their names, right?
Right.
So he probably thought, hey, fuck, we'll just leave it running. It's at a gas station. It's not like high cost item. And the burger was good. And I was like, man, I'm going to try the chicken burger, but I'm stuffed. I was like, I'll do another road trip out here. So, you know, 2 years later, friends and I, or a year later, I think it was for a G.I. Joe convention, actually driving down to San Francisco. I was like, oh man, can't wait. Got to go to Reading. Got to get the Mean Gene's burgers. And they're like, what are you talking? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I explained the whole thing to them. We pull in and it's like, I made sure I didn't eat for like, you know, a couple hours before hitting Reading. So I had an appetite, grabbed a burger, grabbed a chicken burger, and it was fucking awesome. And apparently they all shut down, and I Googled it. The last one was on like a college campus, like in the quad. There's like a Mean Gene's kiosk. All gone now. No more. But yeah, Mean Gene Okerlund had his own fucking burger chain in the 80s and 90s.
Hey, but at least you got to experience it even all those years later, right?
And it's awesome because one of the guys that I went with is a huge wrestling fan, like massive wrestling fan. So I think it was like, you know, like, I don't know what you call it when you go to
the pilgrimage.
It was like a pilgrimage for this guy.
Yeah.
Loves the WWE. He even took me to a wrestling event in Atlanta, Georgia. He got to meet the wrestlers and shit. But yeah, so just seeing him sitting down and grabbing a Mean Gene's burgers, like, there you go, buddy. Enjoy that. Felt like taking the kid to Disneyland, even though we were literally going to Disneyland like 2 days later. I think the Mean Gene's was probably better than Disneyland for him.
That's funny. Did you ever eat? Did you know? I'm sure you knew this, but did you know Kenny Rogers had his own chicken chain, Kenny Rogers Roasters?
I didn't know until I watched an episode of Seinfeld. Did you ever see that one?
No, I never ate there either. I just knew he had a chain. I mean, they're all gone, I'm pretty sure at this point. But I mean, Kenny Rogers Roasters. Yeah.
The Seinfeld episode is they open up a Kenny Rogers Roasters right across from Kramer's apartment. So all he sees through his window, even with the blinds closed, is this red glow from the sign. And he starts to go crazy because he can't sleep. So he's like, Jerry, we got to switch apartments. I can't sleep. I'm up all night. He's like, fine, Kramer, fine, we'll switch. So they switch. And then Jerry and Kramer switch apartments. And by the end of the episode, they've switched personalities. So Jerry's acting all crazy and like Kramer's acting all serious. And I was like, man, I got to go to one of these Kenny Rogers Roasters. Like, I got to do it. And like 2 years later, one opened up on Robson Street in Vancouver. So I was like, fuck yeah, here we go. And yeah, it was delicious chicken, but it only lasted like maybe 3 years.
Yeah, I was going to say 2-3 years. Yeah.
But I have been to one once.
You've been to one once. I never got to partake in that delicious Kenny Rogers roasted chicken. So
it was really good. It was amazingly good. But
yeah. But see, that's what you said. You know, there can be chains that have amazing food and they still don't survive. I mean, but you know, I mean, that's the thing. That's the story of everything. There can be amazing toy lines that nobody knows about. There can be amazing cars and they don't succeed. You know.
Yeah, man. TV shows, movies. Yeah, man. I feel it.
Everything. You know. But so speaking of this, I got one more restaurant to talk about.
Let's do it.
Now this was a chain that wasn't very big. At one point, they had 27 stores in Kansas City, Missouri, and I think maybe Iowa and Nebraska. It was just a small regional chain.
It still seems like a lot, right? 27?
27 is a pretty
decent.
Good amount. Yeah. Now I didn't know they had that many because, you know, I mean, they had one though in the mall right by where I lived. It was a mall I could walk to, kind of like, you know, walk to Sizzler. Well, I could walk to the mall and they had a Smaks burgers. Now it's Smaks, Smaks, Smaks. And they first started in 1956. And basically, actually they were in 7 states, 27 locations in 7 states. So that was actually bigger than I thought. And the thing that I fell in love with there was that they had hickory burgers, and no place else was really selling like hickory barbecue burgers.
Yeah.
And so like in the 70s, I loved this place. And they had their mascot was Smacky the Seal. Smacky the seal. I don't know what
So
a
weird.
seal has to do with a burger place in the middle of the Midwest, but Smacky the Seal. I've still got a cup with the logo on it. I mean, it's kind of faded at this point. I mean, it's from 1977, so a little old. But they I guess they'd gone out, the people who started the chain here, they had actually went out to San Bernardino, California, and visited the McDonald's that was out there. Then they did this a year before Ray Kroc did.
Okay.
So they came back and started a burger chain here, grew it pretty big, and basically for almost 30 years they survived. They closed down in the early to mid 80s. They finally closed their last location around 86 here in Kansas City, and just too much competition. I mean, all the places had grown up, Wendy's, McDonald's, and did you know that the McDonald's Happy Meal started in Kansas City? Did you know that?
I had no idea.
We were the first test market for it, and of course, it was such a success that they grew it out to the rest of the country. But yeah, it started in Kansas City, and that was one of the first, and that just really blew McDonald's up, as far as getting kids in, plus the whole concept of the whole playland area for kids, because nobody really had that before. And
Well, the whole idea of a restaurant is turnover.
Yeah, exactly.
In and out, in and out, in and out. Get them in, get them out, get them in, get it out. If you can fill those tables like 5 times in an hour, money in the bank. You don't want them staying.
Right. No, I tell you, one of the coolest things that I do remember about Smaks. Okay, so the original location that I went to was in Indian Springs Mall, which is now since torn down as well. But while I was still living there as a kid, they actually switched locations in the mall, and they moved to a bigger location. And so they built a brand new one inside the mall and closed the old location down.
Yeah.
And when they opened the new one, they had this new concept that they called a fixing table. And basically a fixing table, it was just like you could dress your own hamburger, which was mind-boggling to you at that point. I'm an 8-year-old kid. I'm like, okay, they give you the cooked burger, and then you go over there and you put what you want on it.
Fuddruckers, here I come.
Exactly. It was basically, well, it was a much smaller fixins table than Fuddruckers. Fuddruckers is like, holy crap, there's so much crap. It's like I need 3 burgers just to make each kind of burger I want.
Fuddruckers is my happy place.
They closed them all in Kansas City. I could almost talk about Fuddruckers as well.
There's like only one that I know of in Canada, and it's in Saskatoon. There's probably more, but whenever I go to Saskatoon, I go to Fuddruckers easily, hands down.
Yeah, and before we go off on Fuddruckers, I mean,
well, we're not going to go off on Fuddruckers. That's probably its own episode.
Exactly, it's its own episode. All I can say is this: it's a crying shame that Fuddruckers to me has to be some kind of mismanagement situation, because their food was amazing.
Yep,
and the burgers were huge. But anyway, let's go back. As far as Smaks goes, it was something that I had from probably when I was about 6 years old till when I was about 14 or 15, when the last one closed that I could get to. And it was just a good burger place. I mean, it wasn't, I don't know if there's anything spectacular. They just had this hickory burger, which now I get a hickory burger at Sonic, but for me, when I was a kid, I loved the hickory burger, and that whole fixins table was just a whole mind-blowing thing to like a 10-year-old. Well, I could put whatever I want on here. What the hell, and that was long. It was long before I discovered Fuddruckers. So,
and my mom would just be like, "Well, you can put anything you want on it. Put ketchup on it. That's it."
Yeah. It was. I love Smaks. Smaks is again one of my favorite childhood memories. As far as like, if I got a choice to pick a burger place and my mom asked me where I wanted to go, it was always Smaks. And I knew that if I could get up there and I had some money, I could go to Smaks. And anytime my mom went to the mall to get her hair done, I got Smaks.
And now you can't.
Yeah, now I just get smacked. I mean, it's kind of a weird name, Smaks, but I mean, it's like lip smacking good, Smaks,
Let's say that all of these places were as good as they were when you were a kid, but you can only bring back one to its former glory. Which one of yours do you pick?
Smaks.
Smaks?
Yeah. I mean, Shakey's pizzas, yeah, pretty good. Arthur Treacher's, nah, not that great.
I'm going for Sizzler because the memories are it was way too good. Way too good for me to not want it.
Yeah, Ponderosa is probably my close second. I had a lot of good Ponderosa memories.
Yeah, we had a lot of Bonanza visits when I was a kid. A lot of Bonanzas.
Yeah.
And all I really remember, honestly, is the ice cream machine. That was like my go-to. I didn't really care what I was eating. I knew I was having,
ice cream.
5 pounds of ice cream. That was the plan. And it wasn't even good ice cream when you think about it now. It's like icicles with milk. I don't know.
Oh man, that makes me remember the ice cream at that place. Oh my God, yes. It was definitely substandard ice cream.
Oh yeah. But I mean, that was my go-to there. I loved it. I mean, as a kid, right?
But they had the twist.
They did. Yes, they did.
Twist. Yeah, they had that was mind blowing. What? Chocolate, vanilla,
together?
Both together?
Yeah. So good.
It's so easy to keep a child entertained, really. Well, that yes and no, I guess. You probably can speak to that. That's a whole nother episode about children. But the weirdest things can entertain a child, but you'll never know what they are as an adult.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure my kids would like the ice cream machine at Bonanza, but unfortunately they won't get to go to one. So I've got to entertain them with an iPad instead.
Yeah, well, that's the thing now. Everything's electronic, but I do miss a smacky burger. That's what it was, a hickory smack. That's what the burger was called. It was called a hickory smack. So you go, I want a large hickory smack with fries.
And then you just go dress it yourself.
You'll go dress it yourself. Well, originally you didn't. They put it on there. It was hickory barbecue sauce, onions, pickles, and lettuce. I think
sounds awesome. I've never had one, but I want one right now.
Yeah, you got to have a hickory burger. Good hickory barbecue.
I guess I'll try that at Sonic next time I go to a Sonic. It's not often I do, but.
Speaking of which, I finally used the last of that barbecue sauce that we got for free down there in Chattanooga.
Yeah. Oh, mine, all mine's gone. Even my US stuff is gone. I can't get down, man. I can't get to the fucking States.
I know. I got some new barbecue sauce that's really awesome. They got this brand, not brand new, but have you ever heard of Rufus Teagues barbecue?
I'm pretty sure we talked about this when we talked about going on road trips
and barbecue. So they got the beer barbecue sauce. It looks like a beer can, but it's barbecue sauce with beer.
Yeah.
I got 3 different varieties now: a hot, a spicy, and the regular. And so I've tried the spicy, and I've tried the regular, and I got the hot one. I haven't tried it yet. That's my next one I'm going to make. So
what are you going to put it on? Ribs or wings?
Oh, I'm going to make barbecue beans with it.
Barbecue? Oh, fuck yeah, that'd be good. Hell yeah.
Yeah. I've been perfecting my my barbecue beans recipe. So
excellent. We should probably exchange. We should probably exchange. I've got one. You've got one.
There you go.
Let's exchange it up. Cook it. See what we can add to it to, maybe give it some more oomph your way or my way.
There you go. Yeah, I've started experimenting now with actually adding meat to my barbecue beans. I never used to do that before. Now I've done it with pork belly. Now it's been really good.
Yeah, no, I got pork and I got sauce, like pork sausage in mine. So I do bacon as well. I get the really thick cut bacon, and I do like the occasional. It's probably the size of maybe a nickel, and I throw one in there for pretty much a side of beans. There'll be 2 of those chunks, so it's not overpowering. You're lucky to get it. It's like winning a prize. You're like, wow, I get that big chunk of bacon. Fantastic.
No, mine's got it's got some brown sugar, some spicy hot German mustard, ketchup, barbecue sauce, onions, a little bit of serrano peppers, pork belly, garlic. What else did I put in there? Oh, and a little bit of Worcestershire sauce.
See, mine has all of that, but then I add animal semen. That's the ticket. The worst part is trying to get the animal semen, which itself is its own episode. I could describe the process I go through, but oh my God, it's a lot of work. Just let me tell you that.
But it does make the animal really happy.
It does. And I'm into making people happy.
Yeah. I've actually experimented a little bit with some molasses and liquid smoke too, but I forgot that the last couple of times.
So were you like, I thought you experimented in retrieving semen from an animal? I was waiting for the story, but unfortunately didn't go that route.
All I can think of is that Rick and Morty episode where he discovers the horse milking machine.
Yeah, in his mom's hospital.
Yes. He's like, oh.
He's like, oh, Morty, you dirty, dirty dog, Morty. It's so good.
Yeah, I don't think any 14-year-old or 15-year-old boy could turn that down.
Fuck, I'm a grown-ass man and I wouldn't turn that down.
Well, you know, they actually have those machines.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm saving up for it.
Well, if you sell a couple of those roads behind you, you could probably pick one up.
Done.
Yeah.
All right, man. It's been an awesome chat. I appreciate you taking the time out. I know it went longer than usual, but hey, I think we got all we needed, right? Talk about food, talk about animal semen.
Yeah, we can't end an episode that doesn't involve semen in some way.
Absolutely. Or start it. We should probably start the next one with animal semen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You know, Clerks 3 just got done filming, so we'll see if it involves a donkey show again.
Well, I mean, there is Kinky Kelly and the Sexy Stud. You can't go wrong.
Where's Kinky Kelly? There. Who's the sexy stud? Right. Right there.
I'm most excited for Elias. I want to see how he's grown as a human being, and if he still talks about pillow pants. That's
I couldn't hardly recognize it when I saw a modern picture of him. I mean, it's been so many years. I mean, he's got to be like what, probably mid-30s now.
Well, I mean, he was like super young before, right?
Yeah. So pillow pants, yes, the troll.
Yes.
All right, man. Well, it was a great episode. Good catching up with you, man. Nothing like talking about some fun memories of the past. Much better than some of the crap that's going on in the world today.
Yeah.
You know, good memories, good times, good things. Hopefully maybe some of these chains will make a comeback. You know, I told you this before. I said I want to open up a restaurant, and all it sells is like the best selling stuff from places that no longer exist. So it's just called like food that time forgot or something. And basically you have like this restaurant's like signature dish that no longer exists, and this restaurant's signature dish that no longer exists. I think it would be awesome.
I got the name. Nostalgia. That's just the name of it.
There you go.
Nostalgia.
The Hickory Smack Burger.
Nostalgia, the Ghost Kitchen. Done.
There you go. Man, we can make a fortune.
Well, I mean, first you got to get the rights to sell all that stuff before you can make the fortune.
Well, I mean, how much rice do you need to a hickory burger?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Calling it the Hickory Smack might be hard.
It's true.
You know,
I mean, but calling it the Hickory Smack would get you more sales.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to leave you with that. You should do some research, try and contact these old CEOs and see if they want to get something going.
Yeah, I don't think that restaurant business is my thing.
Just mention the semen burgers and we're good.
Yeah, that I sell well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, peace out till another episode.
Peace out, no-dolls.